and protecting this seed for memoya emempe or maybe e ka le disturb and also popelo kampo mpa a ya tshwanela go tsena ke right. So immediately after that, your uterus is traumatized. Your fallopians are traumatized from the pregnancy itself. Then you are there out there exposing yourself to multiple energies. I believe the body knows how to heal itself, provided the environment is conducive. So I feel like they don't also deal with the root causes. They just deal with symptoms.
You're probably so surprised where you're not seeing a tall, light-skinned man sitting where I'm sitting today. But today we're taking a bit of a twist. In fact, for the next couple of episodes on the Social Podcast with Daprince, we will be having a Women's Month edition where we have impactful conversations with women, for women, by women. I'd like to firstly thank Prince for allowing the women on set to do this, to create this magic by ourselves. Myself and Megs, we actually worked so well to put this together. So the next 4 weeks will be some amazing conversations with some amazing women from different journeys of life. And my first guest is no stranger to me personally. I like to call her my own spiritual coach. She has someone who has walked with me through so many things. Sure, I don't even know how to begin introducing her because she has done so much. A woman who wears so many hats. She's a holistic healer, a spiritual life coach, a massage therapist, a traditional healer, and an ethno medicine healer too. So, Gogo Itesh, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. We're so blessed to have you here. Thank you for taking your time to make time for us today. Before wasting time, I just want people, because obviously, as I said, I know you as well as I do, but some people don't. So can you just tell us, more about your background, where you're from, where you grew up, and what you do exactly?
Okay, so my name is Itesh, but my spiritual name is Gogo Itesh. I'm the founder and creator of Narayana Institute of Holistic Healing. So after my initiation, like Twaso initiation, I went and studied further. I studied alternative medicine, which is naturopathy, holistic healing, iridology, and ethnomedicine. Yeah.
Sure. Wow, I see Charles's face is like, what is that? Gogo, I think when we get to ethnomedicine, can you just unpack what that, because I know it also has a lot to do with not just on an African context, in my own personal research and stuff about it, So can you just give us more light on what it is and just the impact of it?
It's basically working with botanicals and herbs to aid the body holistically. So it's basically herbs, but there are botanicals, not the roots and indigenous plants that we use in African medicine. So basically it's just that. Yeah. So we look at the holistic being of a person, like your spirit, your emotions, your mental being, and your social being. Yeah.
One thing I think when you mention that, what strikes me is, how for you, how do you feel then about Western medicine? Because I can believe that for you, if you know the herbs and the roots of where we get all that helps us. When you look at how the westernized way of doing medicine is, what do you think? Do you think we're doomed? Do you think it's, and we kind of
I
got lost
wouldn't
in
necessarily say that we are doomed, but we can work hand in hand, especially in terms of drug intoxication. So the alternative side of the medicine now, when we speak about herbs, we speak about detoxing and cleaning the system even after you've used the drugs, because they can intoxicate the body, right? So the residual of whatever drug form that you'd be taking, as simple as Grandpa or Panado, it needs to get out of the system. You're not supposed to be there. So we can work hand in hand. I wish the medical fraternity would consider working with African indigenous healers so that we help aid our people. Let it be about the health and the spirituality of a person rather than pushing like surgeries and drugs. I believe the body knows how to heal itself, provided the environment is conducive. Yeah.
And I mean, for them, it's also a money thing because one thing, if it's not this, it's that.
Yes.
So yeah, doctor you get this medication, but in a week's time, you fall back into another health trap.
True.
You know.
So I feel like they don't also deal with the root causes; they just deal with symptoms, right? If utlile for ulcer, they will just treat the pain part of it, but not the cause of it, which is sometimes nutrition based or nutrient sufficient based. Yeah.
And I think I've also had this conversation with you before where you spoke about the importance of, for example, colon cleansing.
Yes.
And how that actually usually is the core of where most of our viruses, bacteria, diseases kind of stems from.
Yes.
You know.
So we've got the first and the second brain. The first brain, which means your brain, and your gut being your second brain. So where there's cholesterol and mucus and inflammation and even nerve blockages within your gut, nothing else works. There's a lot of stress, anxieties, paranoia, skin breakouts, and all these other diseases that we have.
Sure. So in you mentioning, I like how you mentioned stress and anxiety, because right now we're living in the height of mental health issues and trying to create awareness. So then would you say that there are times where a person isn't necessarily stressed by the external, but it could that just be that where you don't take care of yourself causes that anxiety and sure. And do you think people are very much aware of just how much, we always hear you are what you eat, what you put in is what you get out. I think we always think it's more based on maybe your weight, getting fat. If I eat this, I'll get fat. But do you think we know enough around what to really, really eat, how important these greens are, how important eating clean is? Do you think that importance is there?
Personally, I think the information is there like now. There's a lot of information about nutrition, also how we used to eat as the Black community before, right? So you would find our grandmothers would allow us to eat meat, eggs, and all these other things that are not allowed for a woman to eat because they might trigger certain hormones, right? So bumoroho, like spinaches and herbs were a way of life for Black people. So right now, like food that we consume is literally lab and chemical based. So you need to be cleansing and detoxing your body every now and then. And also understanding what's on your diet. If you can go see maybe a nutritionist. You can also maybe see a holistic person so that they can check your body, right? So you are literally what you eat. You are what you think. You are who you hang around with.
Sure. It's so interesting how you mentioned things like bomai and how they can affect musadi and certain hormones, because I really want us in this conversation to unpack a lot around these issues of fertility.
All right.
And because it's a big one, and we're also living in an era of people saying, or when are you having a child? You get married today, they want to see a baby. You have a baby already, they want the next one, And I think it's very insensitive. We're living in a very insensitive sort of climate now where people just throw around things around babies and, and I think another thing is that because we're living such a fast life now, when you experience just certain things, maybe issues with conceiving or issues with having a stillborn or miscarriages, I think we're at a point now where you go to the doctor, you get something to cleanse your system, but obviously on a medical kind of term, you go home and you go about, life, So I just want you to unpack for us the importance of cleansing. So let's just focus on stillborns and miscarriages, right? But also the importance of even men. Should men also be cleansing as well after a couple encounters something of that sort?
Right. So before we even remember when you say yes to a partner, right? You say yes to everything that they bring on the table. Meaning like curses, behaviors, patterns, blessings, like habitual patterns that or way of thinking of that person has. So when we go for cleansing for pre and post giving birth for women, a man is supposed to be there because you guys are one, you guys co-created a beautiful seedling together, right? But for women, it's more because you are the one that has given birth, right? So we go through a process where now you cleanse traditionally, and then you also cleanse internally. So there's herbs that are prepared, there's the rituals that are supposed to be performed, not just for the mother, but even for the baby, right? So in African midwifery, what we do after wana belegwa, kalana ya hae e wele, there's a herbal bath that you do for the child in order to cleanse them from the world that they come from, which is your womb. Your womb has emotions, it's got traumas, it's got triggers, it's got all these other things. They affect ngwana on a spiritual umbilical cord. So you have transferred most of your energies and the energies of the people around you and your partner as well. So therefore, ngwana tshwantse a cleansiwe mama and the father.
I don't know how many people, I didn't even know that. I don't know how many people, anybody else know that? Jones is so shocked himself. No, you always hear I mean, maybe bano yepela. But
which people don't do that anymore, and there's a powerful significance in doing that, especially as healers. It continuously reminds you of home, right? So your umbilical cord, it will continuously help your guides to guide you, even though so it's your guide way back home should life become very hard for you. That's why whether you believe in traditional healers or not, so that yeah.
And people don't know a lot of I think we so westernized the now, the getting things done, getting by. That's actually a very interesting thing to point out. And I wanted just then to find out from you, Wari. Then let's before we then get to pregnancies that fail or children that don't make it to this life and this world, can we then touch on the auntie, when you fall pregnant, they'll say and it's very sacred, and I think we've kind of lost that now. Now we're competing about photo shoots. Now it's about who has the most grand photo shoot when they're pregnant. How important is that sacredness of and us preserving that in terms of when you're pregnant, keeping it to yourself and nurturing that?
Sure. So Wana is a gift, right? Not just for you, but for the community, for the society, and for the purpose and destiny yamudi, right? So you need to be protective of that seed until you feel that it's safe. So for another 12 months, it could be, we're only going to see the baby after unsim for like 21 days, right? So that ngwana ha bone ke mang le mang. Also, our generation are sa ikilela anymore. We don't even know gore maikilelo ke eng. I understand, for example, I would go be intimate with my partner, and then ebe ke tsena ka mo kamoreng ya ngwana wa lesega. So we believe in our tradition and culture that ge motho a le ko go o na le mogato o tlo gata ngwana, because there's multiple energies tse leng gore di tlo tsena, then di gata o di emela ngwana. Not just ngwana fela, even you as a mother, because you're not supposed to be exposed to a lot of energy, so that your energy can flow. You'll be able to rest mentally, emotionally, because giving birth also on its own, it's just a joke, right? It takes so much from you, in a sense that you are now chosen as a separate portal for the baby to be here. So you are sharing information and energy from a spiritual umbilical cord to the baby, right? So you lose a part of your essence. You lose sometimes your touch. That's why you see a lot of women, even after giving birth, they go through postnatal depression, trauma and stress, simply because you literally shared your all with this beautiful seed that just coming in this world. So you need to nurture it. So you are chosen to share with the Creator, the portal of a being to come alive. So being a mother is really, really, really an honor. It's a blessing.
Sure. And it's because when I know Rapela's core.
Yeah.
I see people going along with a newborn, got 10 days, unless it's a do you think that it is also because now with the family, people have lost the elders, what do you think we can then because obviously, even if you've been westernizing, you say, no, now wanaka can wrong at this. But there should be someone who can be able to tell you,
I think for me, it's not a one size fits all type of thing. It depends what Ojako family is, right? And what you believe in. So we've got different belief systems. So I would believe they would be free to show their babies for their own reasons. But when if you understand the secrecy and the importance of protecting yourself and protecting this seed, for me moya emempe or maybe ekali disturber, and also popelo kampo mpa aya tshwanna go tsena ke phefo. Right. So immediately after that, your uterus is traumatized. Your fallopians are traumatized from the pregnancy itself. Then you are there out there exposing yourself to multiple energies. Yeah.
Yeah, that is, and you know, another thing is that when you mention now, God, the energy is, I've seen instances maybe on TV shows or social media where someone will say, you know, I was pregnant for post 40 weeks.
Yeah.
And yes. You know, can you tell us a bit more about that?
That's tricky. That's tricky. Now we're diving into the traditional practice of things. So how about a that means there is a spell or a hex or witchcraft or bad energies taking place so that you are not giving birth or you are not giving birth to anything. Whether ke go bofa ha mpa or ke go bofa ha wena not to succeed, because go belega also interworks with your own success. Right? So yes, they would go to an extent where bao bofa either ngwana o nna le premature death or o belega after like your term. And then sometimes you don't even make it. Sometimes the baby doesn't make it.
Sure.
Yeah.
That is intense. You know, I remember you and I once had a conversation a couple of years ago, and we were talking about fertility.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that women face. And I remember I just need the world to hear this because it was so impactful for me at the time. But you explained it so beautifully. I think Neneko Wutisa about lineage and wana go tshwara sefane sa papagae and gore o tswa from family ya papagae. And I think you explained something to do with the umbilical cord, but also the belly buttons from the time you actually make this baby. The connection from belly button to umbilical cord. There was a way in which you described it that was so magical. If you remember it, can you take us back there?
Wow. Okay. So I think for me, like I said, ngwana hatla mo lefatsheng o tla with both gifts of the maternal side of the family and the paternal side of the family, right? Which then will form your two and your partner's two, right? So where the friction and the connection that happens is now information or DNA inheritary information is transferred from these families to this particular being. So you literally are the transporter of the information and information of years, of generations, right? Sometimes to be of light, sometimes to to heal whatever misalignments or spiritual diseases that the family has. So it's a spiritual umbilical cord that connects the paternal side of the family and the maternal side of the family. That also comes with like the curses, the patterns, the behaviors, the blessings, the wealth, right? So ge o na le ngwana wa moshimane bonna ba hae ke sefane. So there's information, there's generational wealth, there's generational curses. So you need to understand and know your identity as a man so that you are able to avoid patterns, to avoid mistakes, to be aware of the cases that your forefathers had. And if there's any maybe generational wealth that's there, like umasimo, budiokomo, then you would be able to feel it within your bloodline because it's there and it's been transferred from the father to the mother. Yeah, in honor and respecting the men's loins, of course.
Which also explains the obsession with boy children.
Yeah.
Because I've seen so many couples who like, keep having kids for I just saw that they can so just to expand that, you know. There's actually a question that our producer makes had formulated and she was interested just in finding out different families do different things.
Yeah.
and different cultures also carry different rules. And ho nyala bao lai I get, and they'll tell you what musadi with us this is the rules of this house. The immediately like before they accept you into kroya. And what she was asking about that is that, do we have that for pregnancy? Do we have that for when you're about to be a mother, where you are told kurmila, or is that a family to family thing? It's more of just a personal family thing. You being led to say holy mewira so, or do we have things in place in tradition, or are we having kulaya butaling pregnant?
It was there in the beginning, pre and postnatal counseling, all right? But it also goes for bana ba ileng gore ba planning, right? And if they are not planned, therefore, if you guys have a spiritual midwifery, more family, which most families back in the days they had, right? We didn't have hospitals, so they had to be a spiritual midwife that understood the terms, wa itseng difane, wa itseng direto. Immediately already it's a party, right? A celebration that mamang utlile, and they're being celebrated in that order. But the prenatal counseling is there. You go there with yourself, in understanding how your body will change and how now literally your life has changed forever, right? You no longer therefore live for yourself, but there's this particular person that you need to nurture, to love, to care. So you literally become a counselor. As a mother, you become a chef, you become a doctor, you become all these labels in Edeko. So you need preparation. And also in understanding, Hore, you're no longer eating for yourself alone. There's somebody that you also need to be healthy for, even if it's not for yourself. So you're literally carrying the bait for two people. So it's still there today. I do it. I do pre and postnatal depression counseling and therapies. Petolo is where now after you've given birth or before you give birth, you would get massages that cater for the child, and you aura cleanse the spirit of the mother and the child, preparing them to go into labor.
Phew.
Yes.
The first thing you said in your answer was back then, and things. So if there were complications back then, this is section leading, what happened then? Where does this come from? And
our people are very intelligent. Oof. Our people are very intelligent. I think if also you can Google the information on how Black people or Black communities used to do surgeries, you'd find more information. Like, let me give you an example, acupuncture. All right. So in traditional medicine, it's a porcupine thing that we use in order to activate chi or life force energy in the body so that the body can regulate itself. So that blood can come out. And then in Chinese medicine, then they will say it's acupuncture. So our people are very intelligent in a sense that they would even know they would even know how check whether you can conceive or not, or ejikile, and they would massage you and give you treatments and therapy so that popelo is conducive for you to conceive.
I'm just wondering why we've given them so much power. We have given the Western world so much power, because we come with so much knowledge, and it's getting diluted year on and year on. I even fear for the Generation 8 land.
But I love the fact that we literally going back to the basics. There is the more you see more healers of light awakening, it's simply because the earth wants to restore itself. So we're literally going back to the basics. People are going to healers, they are questioning, they're finding information, just like the podcast right now. So the conversations that we're having, it'll also trigger a person to do more research on their lineage, on how they used to do things back in the day. Yeah.
Before we started shooting, there was a conversation we had with the crew.
Okay.
And they were about dating and when to start dating, and I want to take it back to something you mentioned in the very beginning, one of your first answers, where you spoke about or when you meet someone and you're about to have a romantic relationship with someone, you need to be okay with taking in all that they come with.
Yes.
So now my question then is, Hello Jola, a lot of people don't just come and say, hey, nako hai happy remakes, we come with this, and I've been through all these strongness and Raloyala and the back doors and all of that. So how can then, when it comes to dating and relationships and love, how can we then navigate our way to protect ourselves spiritually?
It's not about protecting yourself. You said yes to this person, right? That means there's a connection and a
But I don't know so what now? I mean,
well, it's got nothing to do with you. Your partner. We understand.
okay.
And maybe the light that you bring will then help your partner in awareness in how now they need to protect themselves.
Yo, Bob the
Right.
Now we fix
It's not Bob the Builder, especially it's like Molenyalo, when you are chosen for a certain family. It's not just about you being for your partner. There's literally cases that need a chosen separate makoti to come in and tie, to also open matlo abatho ba bagolo mo e leng gore they were limited not to see. So lenyalo is a gift. A relationship also is a gift. So when I'm saying, when you're saying yes to a partner, you're saying yes to everything, like the mess. I'm simply saying you also need to work on yourself. And when you've now worked on yourself, you could literally give your partner a different perspective of life. Then you co-create together with honor, with respect, and with open-mindedness.
Which is very, very, and it's very interesting because then, as you say, you could be the person needed in that phase, so to bring the light. But then now, what do we say in terms of, because now we're living in the crux of casual things.
Yeah,
there's casual sex. People are just hooking up. We're meeting at the club. We're going home together. Then the dangers of that are probably, I mean, if we already have a danger zone in relationships in terms of what we both carry, what are the dangers then in the day-to-day casual, and then go on after casual sex? Do people know, can you cleanse yourself? Is there a way to, from at home with the cleanser, to say, I was with someone I just met yesterday, I don't know what I was doing, I don't know what they've brought onto me, what do I do then?
So cleansing is a way of life. You also don't need to go to a traditional healer to cleanse yourself. There's basic cleanses. You can use Himalayan salt. You can use bicarbonate of soda. You can infuse it with the normal maybe herbs that essential oils, your sages, and whatever that you can find to cleanse yourself. So information is always there. So when you find yourself in a situation where you are hopping from one partner to the other, that creates a lot of blockages in your life. You're not going to give birth to anything because you now don't know who you are. Your energy is literally not aligned, right? So, ukonokopana le motho o robale le yena. And then how fetsa o robala le yena, the flow of energy that you had then is start go blockage. Like dilo tsa hao tse di a ema. A go sana progress, a go sana success, literally because that person carries the same energy e leng gore wena you didn't have. Or how fetsa o kgaogana le motho o bone dilo tsa hae di popa. A succeed, we understand you've literally shared your light with this person, and then when I also it's a fan. So you need to constantly cleanse yourself. So you check your relationships. So even in friendships, sorry, or do I feel light? Do I feel drained? Why do I feel I'm tiptoeing around this person? That means your aura or your intuition is warning you, or there is something that's off that needs to be looked at. Maybe there's a trigger that you're not aware of. So you take notice of such things. Pre and post sex, cleanse yourself, not just externally, but also in how you eat, how you live, whatever that you're consuming, because your life force energy literally needs to be off light. Yeah.
And that's it's very important, because I think a lot of the time, we're just living to live. From what also, I think the world changing has also led to that. We're living busier life now. It's very hard to take care of yourself. But I think, as you say, the stuff to note is always there. What to use at home and stuff. So then when you say cleansing is a way of life, are there different types of cleansing for different types of situations and traumas and
churches even, like basically apostolo, if you've been in contact with a partner, like intimately, you literally have to wait 7 days before you go to church, so that you don't share the same energy or chilafata kereke and stuff. So with us, the cleanses are different in a sense that the bad aura or sefifi so nang le sona ke se sebjang. So therefore, the person that you go to will now determine what cleanse you need to do. For sexual care kit for yourself, you can DIY it, you Google, you research, and then you cleanse yourself. Let's why fella like
You just get in there with
yes. Just salt the in, no, it literally does wonders. Then you cleanse yourself. Alu ya bereka, renale what we call bariking mohatolo, or berikisang when you come back from the funerals. Also that works to molora as it is, what cleanser and one mereka.
the holy ash
That you use for one, so you use that for yourself in order to keep your energy aligned, because batho ba ba really ba imetswe ba na le dilo tse dintsi.
And then I want to go back to, if we look at fertility again, right? From your own personal clients, because you obviously have clients that come to you and they want healing. And how often do you find that you've had situations where you sit maybe with a couple, guiding a client, and you try to, help them with their maybe conceiving issues? How often do you find that there are times where it's actually the man who has issues, fertility?
Very interesting. When we were coming here with Mets, we were actually talking about that. I see more women than men, because men never think they have an issue, a challenge, or a problem, right? They never consider things like a death in the sperm count or zero sperm count. They literally never actually put themselves in a place where they can be infertile, right? But yet they smoke, they drink, they don't eat right. They literally also don't take care of themselves. So it's important for partners to support their partners when you're going to inquire whether the blockages that you have in you not conceiving, is it because of you or your partner? But mostly women come alone, literally with no support, not even with a sister or a mother. They literally come alone.
Do you think sometimes the coming, because now I mentioned not with the sister, mom, aunt, anyone, sometimes it's shame.
It could be shame. It could also be embarrassment, because there's words thrown out, by us in the society, like musadi ke ngwana. They never say monna ke ngwana. It's literally about the condition ya hore mosadi ke ngwana. So if you have a problem, that means you're not woman enough. So you carry that shame within yourself, and it's painful. Like it literally puts them under pressure. And then now, when you're under a lot of stress, there's this hormone imbalances, like in the body, because it's flight and fight mode. Problem your partner is also giving you pressure over ngwana, and you don't know what's wrong with your body. So you literally would have to sneak out. Sometimes even if you don't believe in healers, I see a lot of Christian women coming out and saying, hey, I've went for, even in like IVs, I've went and consulted with a practitioner, they checked, and nothing is happening, right? Then you literally have to check, what are the root causes. Is there any difference in their cycle? Is their cycle coming in the same alignment dates? Is there any fallopian tube blockages? Is there any hormones that we need to look at, so that the person can really have a conducive environment for them to conceive? Are they eating right? Especially the nutrition part of it, and the cleansing and detoxing part of the womb. Popelo ya tlhatswiwa, literally, because ke yona e leng hore e tshwara bophelo ba ngwana. So it has to try at least to be clean.
So there are ways in which, when a man and a woman are preparing to have a child, there are ways in which we can both prepare ourselves.
Yes.
From how we eat.
Yes, how you eat, how you rest, what kind of, if you guys are taking vitamins to consume, what types of cleansing you need to go to in terms of, so basically it would be maybe your womb tea, right? Or womb medicine. It would be womb massages. It also would be vaginal and womb steaming, and also perineal massages. As for the men as well, that can also happen for them. They can be herbs that you give the men in order to help increase the sperm count. You can also increase the awareness of how they need to eat. But the rest, nutrition, detoxing and cleansing, boosting the immune system, and preparing yourself mentally because a gona ngwana nyaka mo tla mo environmenteng e leng hore it's depressive. Yes, it already alters their way of life.
It's so interesting that you mentioned, I think, perennial misogyny. When I was expecting my daughter, my midwife sent me information on it.
Yeah.
And she sent me pictures. And I said, I will not.
Especially because
no, oh my, no, from just the way, no. There was absolutely
but
no way.
funny enough, back in the days, they used to do those things.
Oh.
Right? Which are the things they do kokome.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So they would also carry it when you are now expecting to allow for the nerves to relax and to also help your body remember that if there's certain pain comes, you know how to handle it and you know how to push. So you go into a breath work, meditative postures, yoga postures for people that are about to give birth. And then you then choose your mode of therapy, but it's uncomfortable. And also the pictures are like...
The pictures are the most traumatic thing that I've ever had to encounter. And I just want to then ask you, men don't consult, men never think a thing was the problem. It's how we've been raised. Well, then what does that mean for the future of couples? And then what?
We are doing it. But now quite easy. Like literally, and now sharp. As long as a pillar, then that's okay. If it's you, unless if you have like those that are open-minded, right? That can they literally can do things with you, and they're not afraid to even knock on doors that are uncomfortable because going to a traditional healer is uncomfortable. It's a different side of life, right? So most men are shameful. And pizza and then they wouldn't even be open about it. That's that, right? Yeah. So there's also shame, I think, for me, and ego sometimes, and embarrassment that as a man. And I don't know because I'm not in a society of men, and I don't see men more often how they diss each other. If if they are like showing banababa like in men's faces, I don't know what it does to them.
But it's sad because in the we carry the biggest brand, but we have to be able to handle it, you know, because if you can't have a child, they can even tell you about a second wife.
But it's easy for us as well, you know, that because we literally have conversations everywhere and we're not shy to even open uncomfortable conversations. We even refer each other to like different modalities of therapy, right? So if I know of someone that can literally help you with a water birth, I would suggest. Do you understand? If you did, if there's a midwife that I can see that this one will be of help. If you like you are not in a right frame of mind, it's easy for women to open up and talk rather than men. Even with sex, men don't open up to each other. We can have conversation and say, okay, I've experienced this. You haven't experienced this. What's the cause? What is the problem? Men literally, they just use like frame words. And that's it.
Yeah,
but they never go into details on I literally lasted like 2 minutes and it doesn't sit well with me. I think I have a problem. Or even when I check maybe on the condom and stuff, my semens are weak or maybe they are light. They hardly ever have those kind of conversations.
And I think
maybe you as a woman that can confront the situation and say, I just realized you don't have stamina, you don't have energy anymore. You open more tantric sex conversations, you know.
Yeah. And I think maybe we can also blame that on sometimes the world not allowing men to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
So maybe that is also, there's so many layers to the lack of vulnerability from men.
Yeah.
Which then leads to them, you know, constantly pointing us as the issue, you know. And I think the thing is also about females is that we carry, you know, we carry, I mean, you and I had this conversation when you arrived. We were talking just about how much women carry and having to keep a straight face,
wear a lot of
and make sure you excel in even in every hat you wear. You have to excel, you know.
Yeah, it comes with that power. I mean, women also are the same people that give birth to like kids, which is male and female beings, right? So we literally do give birth to men. So we need to understand better.
And
True.
yeah.
So I think they should literally give us more honor and more support and more care. Like, they
wouldn't even be.
We could literally decide, or no, I'm not having this kid.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially if you learn. So we are in power of choosing, and men are not given also concerned into whether obatlangwana or not. They get into a relationship, you guys become intimate and have sex, and boom, you go to Imori, I'm pregnant. But he wasn't prepared. No one even told him, like, babang abayi tori. Especially teenagers, or hokarobala lengwanyana. Literally, ufeletsa unile papa. Let's just eat their face for it. I'm pregnant. And then I would say afterward, I wasn't ready. But they never, ever, ever also express whether they are ready or not. Those conversations are not had. And if they do, women take offense. Some women take offense. But why would you say, how about I mean, we're in a relationship. And they also don't look at other factors.
Oh, but you think people who engage in sex are not, they don't, or you mean in terms of the younger generation?
They don't have such conversations. Yes. They literally, men don't have, I don't know, maybe they can talk for themselves. They don't have such conversations. Already for one, they don't ask each other that.
Actually, when I asked one about Jones, I know that you're a dad, and you obviously have male friends, and so I just want to just pose to you: do men ever talk about family planning, having children in any context?
When you're a teenager, I don't think we have those type of conversations, and it goes back to parenting, right?
Yeah.
Your parents have to prepare you. And I come from a Christian family, so you don't have condoms lying around and say, yeah, this is a condom wanaka. If it happens that you get a girl, this is what you should use. So now what happened with me, sorry to go into details, that my child was conceived in a family house. So there was no condoms. There was no way I'm going to get condoms. You understand? So I think it's important. It has to start from the family. Then, and the problem with the family is that the parents, that they give the responsibility to the teachers. That and go school now that it's very.
And I also think they overprotective of bana ba bona. I understand that motswadi a lebelle gore wena o tlotlisa ngwana at 17, 18, 19 or 20. He's thinking of bereka and then achieve like certain goals.
Yeah.
That's why also those conversations are not heard, because how monna as yet go maybe until you get married or reach a certain stage or wana ngwana wa high and all forever ole ngwana wa born. Do you understand? So it's difficult. Men don't have I don't also even fathers. If we could interview men or have conversations, it's very rare where you find papa afa ngwana hai wa moshimane advice. Do you understand? They also leave it to the woman. They leave it to mama ha otla wona, mama ha otla wotsa. But one they never carry this conversation. It's only like one or two in those families, which is also very few, that you would be fortunate to have a conversation with your father about how he grew up. You know, it's just touch and go. Like that's it. But they will never tell you of the mistakes that they've made, how you were conceived, how it brought shame to him, how they struggled, your mother, in order providing for you. Such conversations are not had.
That's so true. You know, and I don't know, I just want to outline for people, I think, but we are exposed to healers, traditional healers, holistic healers, but with you and the work that you do, and specifically how you, because I have experienced it firsthand. What has always been so interesting for me in that has been, you can have someone consult, so you can tell them what also in your life and this is what's happening
if it's necessary.
And this is, you know, what maybe you should do in order to break shells or to see light. But then you even go further. You can do cleansings, you do massages, I just want you to, I mean, the importance, I had never been exposed to someone who is as holistic as you are. Who looks like this. No, honestly, I'm not even, on the real, because you'll just, we consult, and the person who will consult with you and will tell you but with you, it's almost, it's Chinese meets African meets, so I just want to know that was that your holistic part of your healing, has that always been Is that how your spiritual guides captured you and told you to work? Or you started building on more healing practices as you grew in your role?
I think I personally developed an interest.
Okay.
I wanted to know more.
Okay.
Remember, we had song for 6 months or a year, right? There's a lot of species of herbs that you cannot learn in just basically 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to study further to understand the anatomy of the body, the psyche of a person, or also a person like your holistic being, right? So I look at myself as an energy reader or energy healer or a medicine woman, simply because I went further and studied to understand what's going on. So I do Reiki, I do crystal healing, I do touch therapy, I do talk therapy, which is now where the counseling comes in. I do quantum biofeedbacks, I do acupuncture, and all these other.
Are you hearing?
Right, I do womb healing massages for clients. I educate, I teach. I just love sharing knowledge. So being a traditional healer is not limited to rituals, right? So ha ke sangoma ke ngaka. There's a difference between a sangoma le ngaka. Ngaka ke motho e leng gore o alafang. That's why ona le ngaka ya Sekgowa le ngaka ya Sotho. So now I had to fuse like these two worlds so that I can know better.
Okay.
And so that I can help heal better. But there's a lot of holistic healers that we have now. There's healers that specializes in fertility healing. I love also that now healers are starting to specialize. There's healers that specialize in kago fodisa bana. Do you understand? There's healers by long ba specialize in kago fodisa bana.
Traditional healing.
Yes, traditional healers.
Wow.
There's healers by long they specialize ba kago fodisa sidimo or semoya, right? And there's also by long they specialize kago fodisa like kalenzu. Just them being coaches and speakers and teachers and counselors and
I didn't even know what you can actually, because I mean, specialize now, Western world.
No, you can literally specialize, which is for me works better because you can, if you have the gifts and you have like the time, yes, you can know about Jake, right? But I love people that specialize because they now give more detail, more orientation. They're there with you. They identify root causes. They've got time. Unlike if I'm seeing a person, let's say, for example, and then the next thing I look at a person, and then the next thing I look at somebody on spiritual attacks and issues. Do you understand? Even though that's the basic line of healers, we look at life holistically. We check first the spirit. We also check first your mental being. We also check lifestyle choices. We also check like the generational patterns. We check literally where the problem started or where we went wrong or you went wrong. Yeah.
Sure. And now that you check out, on a personal level, so I have a younger sister who is 11 years my junior, right? So between her and I, that time frame, my parents had issues with themselves. Okay, right? But eventually my mom then was told that her womb wasn't positioned correctly.
Yes.
Then she had a procedure to replace it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
That's where I said I can feel and know if you look how it ends.
So I was about to say to you then, would a problem like that be able to be detected without the machines and the scans and all what? You'd be able to get to that.
Yes. Okay. So you are able to feel literally where it's even positioned. You can sense even and know what are the blockages about whether they're spiritual or whether it's just hormones or whether it's just, maybe diet based. So you are able to detect where it is, and then you also have the intelligence and the power to turn it without you going to the doctor. Yes.
Would it be something?
So you literally manipulating nerve systems in order to feel where the inflammation is, if it's there, and if there's things that we do that I can't literally say here because they're very explicit.
I can imagine.
But yes, literally when you go through that, then there's fire or heat therapy going for the solar plexus and the sacral chakra, so that there's this flow. So our people have that intelligence to literally do what doctors can, just without machine.
We are so do I
think we are medical. Black people have the intelligence to know things, to do things. I don't know where the inferiority came about. Maybe it's because of colonization, whatever. But we literally are that people. We are those people. We can.
You know, we even had a guest some time ago, a poet, Thokozisi, and he spoke about Koyakomi, which he had experienced. And he said when he was there, he learned about reading the stars, reading the weather from just looking at the sky. So it's so important how you're saying now, we are so knowledgeable, we carry so much, but the diluting. And so for you then, what is the future of ethno medicine? Where do you see it going?
I would love to see a lot of indigenous herbs being dispensed in like diske. Right?
Would you want that really
easy? As they are there already. I mean, there's ashwagandha, there's badrock, there's calendula, there's lavender, there's chamomile. They're there already. There's mugwort, raspberry for the womb. They're there. But I just feel like in case it say ko mai or ko farate or ko maravastata fail. Yeah, you know. I wish we could access them in also places that are posh, and also we also shouldn't feel ashamed about consuming herbs because literally they come from God, right? So if God is the creator and He's created these things, why then are we labeling them as witchcraft, right? Gardening, consumer, you're not saying it's it's do you understand? So somehow ignorance plays a huge role on how we used to live. So if we can go back to the basics of life, and I know it's never going to be the same, but let's make it a lifestyle that you have your own spiritual code of conduct that's not influenced by a healer. You're just looking for advice. That's also not influenced by any pastor, because spirituality is an individual journey, right? So whatever speaks for you, whatever works for you, go for it. So if it means you're struggling with conception, somehow will consult, go find out what's wrong and let them help you cleanse, let them help you identify whatever blockages or problems. And then if they need to refer you to a medical practitioner, I do refer, you know that. Yes, I will send you to a practitioner and say, please go see this person and then bring the results to me. Then I would know now what helps good to administer for you. Yeah.
So did the helps to the krang ko maravastat? Let's go at the krang kutiskem. Are they the same? Or the kutiskem have they
limited? They're literally limited, and some of them are refined. So kumaravastat ukrea peku ile raw, like literally raw, and then you use it either way. You can make oil out of it. You can make a tonic out of it. You can make pizza out of the herb, or you can just use it as a peel form. So we're also getting into a season where now Rashila di peku, and then you encapsulate them. So I'm literally excited about that.
That is a very exciting development. And you know, Tamo, the future of food in terms of liver. Now, you know, it's actually so scary because we're living so fast. So
I think that's a topic for another day. We are doomed, literally.
We really are.
We are doomed unless if we start farming from our backgrounds, which a lot of people now are getting into. Create your own food garden. Because the just already young. I mean, imagine oregile meleke owning a month shell full. And then you would believe for it would nourish your body. The chemical processes that it goes through, you know. So literally, let's just cultivate our own food.
Because you even see it, I'm mentioning before about eggs and dairy and stuff. You see it with the young girls now. Some of these young girls look within 13 years, but they look 18. You can see what it's doing to hormones. You can see what it's doing to body. And also in that, then that's when we start going into kids also becoming more sexually advanced and sexually enticed at a very younger age, you know. But not, to be honest, I think it's all maneuvered. It's obviously all maneuvered to make it how it is, to have us sit in a little box, you know.
As long as we know that, like I'm saying, the body knows how to heal itself, provided the environment is conducive. So even if you're struggling with like fertility issues and stuff, literally go back to the roots, go back to the basics, take care of yourself, and then find more information, because also you would start learning about your body as a woman more. You would also learn about the practices of your forefathers more. Like just indulge in the information.
Yeah. Any questions from the floor? Anybody has anything that maybe I may have missed? Any interesting questions or anything? Yeah. But what's shook? So whenever the people like they are so enlightened. They are. I think we take away so much from this conversation, Gogo, and I thank you so much for. This is like a part one kind of thing.
I also feel like
so many things.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's just a whole lot.
It's just their conversation, to be honest.
Men should really like start take care of themselves. Like invest in healthy products for self. Like hygiene also is very, very important. Understand the basics of what a woman needs and what a woman wants, not just for pregnancy basis, but as a way of life. Like together we can do more, and not only from a relationship perspective, but if you could see each other in terms of we are each other's reflections. So if I have went through something, that means your sister might go through whatever that I went through, and I can be of help. But men need to show up. We're not saying go consult healers or whatever, but it's not saying once in a while to go check your overall health. And understand to avoid a lot of things like this prostate cancer, which also like eats a lot of men. And sometimes they find it out very late.
Which is because I get one of the macho men, so you don't want to show that you are doing so well.
Like the minute you say, I test, check out
Yo, guys, thank you so much for this conversation. Thank you, Gogo. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It was an impactful conversation. Jones, before I wrap up, Jones has got something to say.
Take it up. Do you know Refente Sebotoma?
I do, yeah. He's my brother spiritually.
Yeah, he says he was with you yesterday, so he's texting me now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do. He's my brother.
Oh, yeah. So where can people find you?
On Facebook, it's Narayana Institute of Holistic Healing. On Instagram, it's Narayana Institute of Holistic Healing. TikTok, it's Narayana Institute of Holistic Healing. So my information is there, and also the stuff that I do, the products that I sell, and yeah.
Who TikTok?
Yes.
I know. I don't know that you're on TikTok. Oh no, we really do. We do.
Yeah. But thank you so much, guys, for really having me. I really love the show, the ambience part of it, and yeah, thank you so much.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in again. It is not the tall, light-skinned man. It is me. But he is in the background. Thank you so much for allowing me to take over. I hope you guys enjoyed this. From me and mine to you and yours. Eita hola.
Love and light.